How are we there, guys, and welcome to another Smashing Crossbar podcast. I'm your host, Josh, joined once again by my co-host, Ben. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Not too bad, mate. Beautiful. Another week gone. Another week of no football. It just seems to be going on and on and on. But anyway, hello to everybody in the chat, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube. So be sure to shout out and let us know that you can hear us. Let us know if there's any audio dramas or anything like that as well. That's muchly important. Obviously, special shout out to our major sponsor, Gabriel Mar Optometry, for all your eye care needs and obviously eye tests, etc. Be sure to go check those guys out down there at Jasmine. We thank them very muchly for all the contributions they are doing for us and the channel. So, let's get down to it. We have been lucky enough to get with us a former Newcastle Jets coach, obviously a veteran around the old NSL and in the A League as well. He needs no introduction, obviously. We've got Branko, mate. Are you there with us?
Yes, I am.
How you going there, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. And good to catch up finally.
Absolutely, mate. Obviously, the Jets fans have been itching to get you on and have a bit of a chat and see what you're obviously up to these days, and obviously talk a little bit about your time at the Jets and obviously your career in the NSL level and so forth. Hey, Aiden, Jersey's on here tonight. No, mate. No, Aiden. No. Just let us know, guys, if you make sure you can definitely hear Branko. He's okay. We had a bit of dramas with Discord and so forth, so we'll go with it and see if there's any dramas. Just let us know. So pretty well, mate. Look, we're going to talk to you about the Jets, obviously, but we'll leave that aside for a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about your thoughts. Obviously, we've seen you on the World Game last week, talking to Lucy Zelich about obviously Australian football and everything else. Probably the best place to start, I think, is you coach at the NSL level. What's probably the biggest difference for you coaching coming from the NSL level to the A League? What do you think the biggest differences are between the two?
Yeah, look, it's you get asked that question over and over, and various people have different opinions about the standard and everything, and that can be debated, but I think one thing is quite clear, that the A League is obviously more professional. There's more money in the game, and we're able to do things with the A League that certainly in the old NSL you couldn't do. And whilst the A League at the moment has got a few hiccups, and probably is not travelling as well as we would like it. It's had its moments, and certainly A League, for its professionalism, the media coverage that it's been receiving is certainly way above what the old NSL was accustomed to. Having said that, the NSL had its moments too, and it contributed enormously to the game in Australia, both locally and internationally. It produced many wonderful players for the Socceroos, some great teams over many decades. So both eras have been at its moments, and it's contributed enormously to the profile of the game in this country, which hasn't been easy either, because we've been up against it in as much as that we've had to compete with other strong sports in this country, like NRL, AFL, rugby union, cricket, and so forth. So it's very difficult for the game to continuously flourish the way we would like it, but it certainly has had its moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello to everyone, obviously, in the chat. Matt Vandenberg's just jumped in, Newcastle Jets tragic, and has said, "I'll never forget when Branko got mad at me for sitting in his seat on the bus in Melbourne. Players stitched me up."
Geez, I can't remember that, but obviously Matt's got a good memory, and if that's the highlight of him, my time in Newcastle, then I should have done a little bit better than that. But I certainly had my seat on the bus, and if it wasn't available, I was always looking for answers.
So obviously, we've heard from obviously a lot of professionals in the game about the youth development not being up to scratch. Obviously from the youngsters not playing enough games. Obviously, most of the youngsters at sort of grassroots level, obviously not in the state league and stuff, are only playing about 16 games a year, and 16 to 20 games a year if they're lucky. Obviously, trials and everything else. But as where obviously European countries are playing upwards of 90 to 100 games a year. Do you think that's a major thing? Obviously, for players in Australia, obviously they should be playing more games, obviously, to better get themselves into hopefully a career for themselves in football.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's one of the problems that we have, and I made that point on the World Game a couple of weeks ago, where I compared Australian players who possibly train 80 to 100 times over a 40 to 44 week period, and if you take their counterparts in Europe or South America, they would be doing something almost double that. Yeah. And even if the quality of coaching isn't as good overseas, which we can debate, just the sheer fact that they have twice the amount of training sessions will help their players, and that's something that we've lacked here in Australia, and we've made all sorts of excuses for it as well, by saying but they play at school, they've got to do other things, etc. But hey, so do the other kids overseas, and if you want to be an elite player, then you've got to be prepared to put in that extra work, and the sooner we do that, embrace that, then the better we'll be. I mean, a perfect example of that is everyone knows about the talent we had at AIS when it first started off. And what were they doing? What was the difference? They were training and playing every day. And that's what made them that much better than the other players, and polished them and prepared them for overseas. So it was much easier for those players when they did go overseas, because they were already prepared for it. Nowadays you've got a guy here in Australia who's training 3 or 4 nights a week, and he goes overseas and you have to train every day, sometimes twice a day, and you're up against it, both in technically and tactically. So that's certainly one of the areas, but there's many others as well. It's the conditions we train in, the coaches that we have at a younger level, at youth level as well. We tend to have better coaches, possibly at a senior level, where in my opinion we should have better coaches at youth level, because these are the people that prepare these young players for the future. And it's not good enough to have, in many cases, mums and dads coaching these players. You've got to have people who have experienced the game or played the game and know what's required for these players to develop and eventually play at elite level. And so that's another problem, resources that we have as well, and I often hear the other comment is we don't have the financial clout, or we don't have the money. Well, how is it and just take our neighbours in Asia, and I've been in Asia a number of times with Newcastle, Sydney FC during the Champions League, and I've seen how they operate. You can't tell me that we can't compare with the likes of Vietnam, Thailand, and a few other countries when it comes to financial side of it. So if they can do it, we can do it as well. But we always tend to find some excuses why it can't be done, and in the end it won't be done, because we're pretty much talk ourselves into believing that we're not good enough or it can't be done, it's too expensive or too difficult. And well, if you think like that, then obviously that will be the problem.
Absolutely. Don't quote me. Did your son, did Jason go through the AIS system?
No, he didn't. Look,
No,
and not everyone has to go through AIS.
Oh,
so don't
no.
forget it. Yeah, back in those days, we produced a lot of good players, and not all of them went to AIS. But the beauty of that is back in those days we had 14 and 16 team NSL competitions that had youth teams. Some teams I think even had 2 youth teams in the competition. So there was host of opportunities for young players to develop. And back in those days, it was not, it was no surprise to see Mark Viduka at 17, Brett Emerton at 17, Jason Culina at 16, and many others play at senior level. Nowadays, we can hardly find a player playing A League that's any younger than 20. And that's just not good enough. We, for whatever reason, not only did we have more opportunities back in NSL days, but we were willing to give young players a go. And at 16 and 17, if you were good enough, you were old enough. For some reason, we don't have that situation now. And just look at the playing roster at some of the A League clubs. And if you go through the names, you will see some players have had 6 and 7 A League teams in their short history playing A League. And that's just ridiculous. What we've chosen to do is recycle players rather than give young players an opportunity. And that's why we're not developing as many players as we used to. Or at least that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I've got a question here. As I said, guys, bring your questions in. We'll ask Branko. Question for Branko. What's Jason up to these days? Is he still playing? I believe he was coaching last year. Is that right?
No, he did dabble into coaching at Sydney United for a short period of time, about a year and a half ago. But he quit after about 10 games. Whether it was something that he didn't really want to do, or knowing Jason the way I do, he was a thorough professional and he wanted to make sure that he was able to do things with Sydney United the way he was brought up and the way he learned things at Ajax Amsterdam and PSV Eindhoven and the national team. And he got frustrated when that wasn't possible at NPL level, and he decided that if he can't do it properly, he might as well not do it at all. And in the end, quit. Since then, he's been doing pretty much nothing. He's been coaching his own kids. He's moved since then to Gold Coast just before Christmas, and he's now doing some work for Gold Coast United, where his kids are playing.
No, beautiful. You touched a little bit, obviously, on the NSL, saying that there was 16 teams there, and obviously you coached a few teams, I believe, in the NSL. I think Sydney United was one of them, I believe. Is that right? Yeah,
look, there was a number of teams. I started off with Melbourne Knights, and then moved to Sydney United, then Canberra Cosmos, and finished with Sydney Olympics. So I was fortunate enough to coach some decent teams in the old NSL.
The old NSL,
over a period of time, and had a lot of success, particularly with working with a lot of terrific players. The likes of Viduka and Steve Horvat, Savinsky brothers, Brett Emertons, Richard Cardozo, Ante Uric, a lot of internationals.
A lot of talented individuals. Oh,
you lost him?
Yeah, yep. Branko, you there? Rightio, give us a sec. They might have to duck out and ring him again.
Ring him back.
Dropped out. Apologies, but as I said, guys, while Ben's quickly doing that, send through any questions you've got. Aidan will get your question to him a little bit later when we're talking a little bit about, obviously, about the A League and stuff like that. Because I'm sure his worst players he's probably coached or whatever is probably in the A League.
Keep an eye on your phone.
A League stint.
You should be back.
Oh, we got you, mate.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so we're talking about obviously the NSL and 16 teams and so forth. I did watch the Optus Sports documentary obviously with all the golden generation on Sunday, and now they were saying that the A League needs 16 teams. They believe 16 is a solid number. It gives everyone a chance to play each other twice, 30 games. But obviously the biggest problem in regards to that, obviously, is, as Western United have just found it out, and now MacArthur, is even to get a team into the A League, you're looking at nearly $13 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And as Aloisi quoted, I quote off Aloisi, where's it going?
Yeah.
Surely that should be money that they could spend in the club, to get for better use. You know what I mean? That's just to get them in there.
Yeah, that's probably marketing and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you got to again. But my question is, obviously for the likes, as I'm sure Branko will say, obviously with a few NSL teams that he's coached, like your Melbourne Knights, your Marconis, your Sydney 58s, and so forth, and all around. They're the teams that we need to get in here. Your Canberra, even Canberra. Why hasn't Canberra got a side?
Canberra needs a side.
Canberra it's our capital, and they haven't got a side. They've got a youth program, the youth squads. They've got a women's team. Where's the men's side?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Branko? What do you believe 16 teams is a must? And obviously, do you feel that? Obviously, because where are the Marconis and Sydney Olympics, and they're going to find $13 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think,
He's gone.
Oh. What keeps... He must be bumping something, I don't know. Lost him, unfortunately.
Working on it.
Hey, Chris. So you got a question?
Keeps hanging up.
He must...
He might be moving the phone closer to his ear.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure. Again, technology these days, you can't win. Unfortunately, we had a bit of dramas with him trying to sort out. He was struggling to hear us there at one point as well, so we'll try and get him back. But as I said, in the meantime, obviously, I think 16 teams is needed. It's definitely a must, I think. Again, what does the chat think? What do you guys think?
Nancy.
What do we got? Laurie, how are we, mate? Branko's just stepped out. I don't know where. We've lost him, dropped him, so we might. Anyway, but yeah, what are your thoughts, guys, in the chat? Everyone in the chat. Do you think we need?
Saying he's offline, so his phone might have died or something.
Maybe his phone died. That's fair enough. What do you guys think on the 16 teams? Do we need 16 teams? Is 16 too many? Again, I'm not saying we need 16 teams tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I can do that because...
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
I don't need to hear.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Look, going back to what you were saying earlier about the $13 million and where does it go? That's at the point where the club needs to start sort of putting feelers out. They're going to spend a lot more on marketing than what the traditional already established A League side will. They've got to go into partnership with kit manufacturers and then go through kit designs and things like that. That costs money. Everything down to obviously player signings and things like that. They've got to get done. They've got to find a home base or rent a home base or build a home base. Then you've got stadium costs on top of that. Then you've got... It adds up very quick.
Oh, absolutely.
All the training gear and...
But my biggest problem is you look at the MLS and it's no different to the A League. Every year it goes up.
Oh, as in to buy an expansion team.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's cost $13 million for MacArthur just to buy into the competition.
Yeah, to buy a license.
That's to buy a license. That's not even to... maybe Laurie might be able to shed a little bit of light on. He's in here. There you go, Laurie. But, that's the big one, surely that money is going to be better spent somewhere else for a new club,
Well, yeah.
We've heard, obviously, if the 16 teams do come in, or whatever, or they do go to relegation and stuff,
Yeah.
they need to give Western United and MacArthur an exemption for a couple of years. Well, in my opinion, it don't work that way.
No, it shouldn't.
You've bought into the competition.
You should be strong enough to
You're not going to buy into the competition
challenge.
and then expect a handout straight away.
Chadikit, add Canberra, Wollongong, Townsville, Darwin, and Tassie.
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion...
We're ringing.
Oh, we're ringing.
We're ringing.
Hello.
You there, mate? Phone died.
Yeah, I don't know how much you've heard, but it feels like my time at Newcastle when I was coaching. It feels like I've been talking to myself. I don't know how much you heard of that, but I was saying that there's no doubt that Canberra should be part of the elite company, and also the fact that there should be opportunities for some NPL clubs to be part of the A League. However, whether all 4 or 5 of them would come in at the one time is quite debatable, depending on their financial situation.
Absolutely. I can't expect them all to come in at once, obviously, but I think that it's, we need more teams in here, obviously.
I think, look, the difficult part is this. The clubs that are in the A League have invested quite heavily to be part of it. They've paid, quite substantial amounts of money to join the competition. Then now we're saying, let's have more teams in the competition. And well, do you charge them a fee as well? And if you do, how many of them are going to be able to come up with the amount that's required? With license fee, whether it be 12 or 15 million dollars. I don't think there's too many of those. But then again, if you waive that fee, how is it fair to the existing clubs? So there's got to be some discussion on that. What I do believe, though, is that we do need more teams, and we do need promotion and relegation to give life to all the state federations around the country and the teams that compete there and have aspirations to play in top tier, but also to keep everyone on their toes in the A League, because I think it's become ridiculous.
Well, this is just becoming a constant occurrence. Do apologise. I think what we might just jump straight into the Newcastle Jets topics once he does come back, because we'll just sort of try and tee it up and maybe wait till Christmas time or something like that when the family's around. You there, mate? Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
I don't know what's going on there. Does it just drop out on you, does it?
Yeah, it keeps dropping out. But I was saying that, we do need to keep the teams in the A League on their toes and make sure that, they play for something all the way through, whether it be promotion or relegation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I said, the second division is needed. There's a lot of topic and a lot of debate on how that will work and how they think it should be structured. Obviously, maybe do, the north side. Might be maybe 2. One on the one side of Australia. As I said, it's a big area to cover and a big area to travel. If you got to travel from Sydney to Perth or whatever, and again, these guys aren't on $500,000 or whatever contracts.
Yeah, but I mean, look, we've had that in the old days.
Yep. Oh, I've lost you, mate. You there? Hello.
Still there.
Hello.
Worst comes to worst.
Just you ringing? Might just ring him.
Jump on the blower.
Yeah, grab a pile of books, mate. Ben's going to quickly.
Books? No, mate. It's a pile of PlayStation games generally.
All right, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We do apologise, guys. Welcome to Reegs and everyone else who's in here. We do apologise for the little delay.
And I only put these away today. From the last time we needed them.
Absolutely, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Seems like
Just give the man
a bit of room.
A bell on the dog and bone.
Rightio, we're going to do it. Which means I don't need this. Ben, just hang up on that dingo.
You should be there.
Hello?
I'm saying he's still there.
Rightio. Let's log out of here.
Ah, see, it's just like live theatre, mate.
Bloody hell.
If it can go wrong, it bloody will. Whoop! There we go.
Thanks, mate.
Everyone's just watching me drop PlayStation games all over you.
All over me. Well done. Let's...
That's alright, there's lots of FIFAs in there. You won't be able to see the chat, but... Oh well, you don't need that.
That's right.
I can...
Right, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, okay. Might be the best way.
Absolutely. So, yeah, look, as I said, we were saying, obviously, you were talking about... Well, I was just saying about maybe looking at making it down the north coast and obviously down the other side of Australia. You were talking about the NSL where you guys had to travel?
Yeah, look, we had a northern and the southern division for a couple of years. Again, due to the costs, and you know they would play off in the final, have a final series, a home and away. And you know, if you wanted promotion relegation, you could then have the winner of that play for promotion against the last placed A League team. That could just be one of the ways of dealing with that. But as I said earlier, look, everything is difficult. There's no easy solution to any of these problems. However, you've got to be positive. You've got to be daring. You've got to be prepared to make things happen for the betterment of the game. And I think if we were to do that, to have that northern and southern division, you could possibly include some of the teams that normally wouldn't have any hope of competing at the top tier level, and they would invariably be teams outside Sydney and Melbourne, which you know we all think are the main two cities as far as football is concerned. Don't forget, there's a lot of people that play the game and follow the game outside Melbourne and Sydney, so we've got to look after them as well.
Yeah.
So, look, it's difficult. There's no easy solution to any of this, particularly when it comes to finances. But we've got to find some. And if we want the game to develop and grow and be truly national, then we've got to find those solutions.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Still getting sorted, guys.
Still getting sorted. That's fine. Yeah, so we'll obviously slowly work our way into the Jets and the A League and so forth. What's obviously you've coached in the A League. Obviously, what's what's your thoughts with the youth? Ben and I were talking about it last week, where we find that a lot of the guys coming through the current NSL who do get their chance in the A League. We find that the gap is way too big for the jump. They sign a contract. They may play a handful of games if they're lucky at the top flight, and then unfortunately it doesn't work out, and then back they go to the NSL. Do you
mean NPL?
No, sorry, NPL. Yeah, sorry, we're talking to NSL too long.
Talking NSL, yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts? Do you think personally, as a coach who's coached in the A League, the gap between the NPL and the A League's too big for some players?
Look, it's certainly a lot bigger than what it used to be in the old NSL and state leagues, because we've allowed it to get bigger. There's been all this emphasis on A League, which has become professional, and I'm talking about fitness-wise and just the way it's run. Where the NPL is still a long way behind in as far as still train 3 nights a week, some of them only 2 nights a week. Yeah. So, like I said about youth development, if someone trains 5 days a week and you train 3 nights a week, eventually they will forge further ahead of you. And the A-League's pretty much done that because it's so it's professional, and NPL is semi-professional, and the gap is just widened. But I do believe there are some decent players in NPL that should be given the opportunity. I mean, for example, you've got A-League clubs have got a roster of 22, 23 players. For the life of me, I can't understand why the 20th, 21st, 22nd and 23rd player, for example, or even earlier than that, can't be from NPL rather than someone who's been recycled over and over from another A-League club.
Yep.
But we don't do that. As I said, years ago, we had a lot of 16, 17-year-olds play in the old NSL, and they went on and some of them became household names. I was lucky enough to coach some of them, like Mark Leduc and Brett Emerton and Jason Culina and a number of others. So Mile Jedinek was another one. It was only 16. I know my mate Laurie McKenna, who might be listening, might say, yeah, I gave him a go at Central Coast, but way before Central Coast, I was the one that gave him a chance at Sydney United when he was only 16 in the old NSL. And that gave him his first taste of so-called professional football.
Yeah.
And then luckily for him, Laurie picked him up later on with Central Coast Mariners. But, you know, we used to produce so many of those players because we risked. We were prepared to risk. Nowadays, clubs aren't prepared to risk. They're not prepared to, you know, have that squad player occupying a slot 20, 21, 22 or 23 with a young NPL player. As I said, clubs still tend to go for so-called proven A-League players that have gone on a pretty much from club to club.
Yeah.
And my view is that's wrong because A, it's not going to make the club any stronger, and B, I think we're taking that opportunity from blooding some younger players, even though they might be playing in a lower grade. But certainly the gap is there.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are some talented players in NPL and who must be given that opportunity. Look, I spent a year in the NPL after I left the Newcastle Jets. I went to a club called Rockdale City. And you know, I was amazed how many players in the NPL were actually of good standard. Yep. What they were lacking was ambition. They certainly didn't have the fitness that some of the A-League players had, but they also lacked ambition. They lacked belief because they didn't believe that A-League clubs were going to give them a go, because the records clearly showed that not too many A-League clubs were taking aboard NPL players. So the players themselves gave up. Yet, if they saw the opportunity, if they saw that they could get a gig with one of the A-League clubs, I'm sure they would have pushed themselves a lot harder and worked a lot harder and possibly been a lot closer to the A-League than what they were playing in the NPL. But again, it's not for the players not wanting to, it's just not being given the opportunity.
Yeah. The other thing as well, I think, as you sort of touched on, obviously, you know, back in the NSL, and that you gave them a lot of chances and so forth. You know, again, I'm not that old, and the NSL, well, I was very young at the time, but I do believe back then, you guys were only really allowed to have 2 international players compared to, say, the A-League now, where it's up to 5.
No, foreign players, visa players. Yeah, there was 3. There was a limit of 3 players, visa players.
Yeah.
And nowadays there's 5. And look, you know, the key to A-League success is, and I spoke to someone about this on another program not long ago, and we looked at the success of the 2 of the most successful clubs in the A-League, Sydney FC and Melbourne Victory. Every time they got it right with their foreign players, because they had 5 slots available, they went on and won the league.
Yeah.
And even Brisbane Roar under Postecoglou, as much as, you know, we talk about their success, without the foreigners, they would not have achieved the success. You take away Broish and Besat Berisha from that squad, and a couple of others, but those 2 in particular, and Brisbane would have been just another side.
Yeah.
You know, but so in the old NSL, we had either 2 or 3 maximum visa players. So you really had to rely on your local talent, and if you got those 2 positions wrong, you know, you had no chance. But in the A League now with the foreign quota, as I said, if you get it right, you're almost there. But that's also then taking away the opportunities from local players being given an opportunity.
Correct.
But on the other hand, it's also good for the game, because if you can get 5 really good foreigners in each club, then that's going to pretty much help the club be successful. But also, I do believe that locals can become better players by playing with better foreigners, with good foreigners. And if I remember one year when I was at Sydney United, and we had a couple of one particularly good foreigner who went on and won the NSL Player of the Year, Krishna Marisic. All our players improved by playing with him, because he was so good, good professional who was willing to help younger players around him. And it was every coach's dream to have a player like that in your side, because players actually, push themselves to become better by playing with that player. Now, if you've got a couple of other players who are just as good, it's a haven for the local players as well, because they've got someone to look up to on the park. And that can only be good for the game as well. But certainly today, as I said, for whatever reason, we're not giving the younger players the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of the foreigners that we bring to the country. And some of the foreigners that we bring to the country are no better than what we already have here in Australia. So what's the point?
Yeah.
It's been a problem for some of the clubs over the years. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, even you and I were saying as well, like, obviously how good it is to see, like, even at the Jets now, obviously you got your Joe Ledley, Wes Houlihan's and stuff like that. Like, again, legends of the game, you know what I mean? And even though Wes was injured and virtually missed the whole season, just having him around the club would surely boost your younger players. And, obviously, again, he would have been down at training, even though he couldn't do much. He would have still been there and obviously, running drills, or obviously talking to the guys in the sheds and stuff like that. So
if you get the right professionals with the right attitude and character, they could be an enormous help, because even if they're not playing well on the park, or if they're injured, they can play a huge impact, have a huge impact on players around them and at training and around the club. So I think it's all about getting the right professionals with the right character, with the right attitude. And if you do, then, as I said, you'll go a long way of ensuring that your younger players, in particular, will benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start. Let's start digging into the Jets. We've sort of tried to ease it in, and we tried to talk a bit of football. So obviously, your time at the Jets, it came in it was an interesting time as a Jets fan. It was a very interesting time. The Tinkler era was
interesting.
It was something else. It was. We've had ex-players on here come on and virtually say that. It was a good time for a short period of time.
But when shit hit the fan, shit hit the fan.
Obviously he was talking about, apparently, he was they were down at the Crown when it opened, the buffet breakfast every morning pretty well, and, treated like royalty and, so forth. But then obviously the money started to dry up, and then everything started to go pear-shaped. So what was it like for you, mate, obviously, coming in? What was it like first, obviously, when you first came to the Jets? What were your thoughts? What sold you on getting to the Jets?
Yeah, look, I joined the Jets prior to Nathan Tinkler coming on board. I was there. I first joined the club as a technical director.
Correct.
And I was there for about probably 6 months. And then Gary Van Egmond quit to go to AIS.
Yep.
And I took over. The club had finished the season before the Wooden Spooners, so it was always going to be a difficult season for the club. However, we did recruit well. We had some really recruited well in that time. A bit of experience, the likes of Ljubo Milicevic was a key player for us in defence. We had a marquee player from Italy, Fabio. Oh, jeez, now I've got me.
Yeah, what was his name? Fabio.
The name escapes me.
Yeah. Anyway, he was a midfielder, and he was a key player for us because he gave us that little bit of quality, class that the team was probably missing. We had a lot of good youngsters coming through as well, and so it was a good balance, and I felt comfortable going into the season that we would, do better than the wooden spoon the previous year. And whilst we started off slowly, we had we hit a purple patch where we won 4 games in a row and went from pretty much the bottom half to the top half, and whilst we had a lot of injuries that towards the end of the year, we still made the finals. They finished 4th. We won our semi-final against Gold Coast on penalties in Gold Coast, thanks largely to Ben Kennedy having a blinder in goals that evening. And then we ended up going to New Zealand to play in the preliminary or the major semi-final in front of 24,000 people. And it was 1-1 at full time, and then we got beaten 3-1 in extra time, and we're a bit unlucky because we hit the post when the game was 1-1. So we lost that game, but it was a good season overall because, as I said, from Wooden Spoon, we made the finals, finished 4th, and went into the second week of finals football. And then the following year, Nathan Tinkler, and look, I must say, I know there's a lot of people out there who may think differently, but there was a guy there by the name of Con Constantine who was the owner prior to Nathan Tinkler. And whilst you may not agree with the way he ran the club, it was largely and mainly thanks to him that the club survived and was competitive. And for all the negativity, there was a lot of positive things there because the guy had dished out a lot of money over many years to keep Newcastle afloat and in the top tier. So I take my hat off to him, and I thank him very much for not only what he did for myself, but what he did for Newcastle community in general. Nathan Tinkler took over when obviously Con had some disagreement with FFA, and Frank Lowy and FFA decided to take the license away from him. And Tinkler was probably a breath of fresh air initially. You mentioned the Crown meetings, where we had breakfast there, training like professionals. I remember my brief was, let's try and be professional club. Let's run it like professionals. And for the first time, I must admit, I felt like, hey, we're going somewhere, because we assembled an extremely talented group of not only players but staff. We had people like David Lowy, who was our full-time scout, responsible for both identifying youth and senior players. We had a full-time goalkeeping coach in Clint Gosling. Our youth team coach was a full-time coach. Our assistant coaches, we had every aspect of the club covered as far as being as professional as we possibly can, and it was an exciting era. We employed the psychologists at the club to help us mentally get better and focused on how we can achieve greater results at the club. So it all looked brilliant. In fact, it was too good to be true, and in the end it was.
It was.
I think, look, the problem was that I think all along Nathan Tinkler and the group that was in, and people involved with him, wanted more than Newcastle Jets. They wanted Newcastle Knights. Yeah. And Newcastle Knights they initially weren't available, so he went for the next best thing, which was the Newcastle Jets.
Yeah.
And then when he got Newcastle Jets, it was exciting for him as well. And I must admit, I had a lot of good time working with Nathan. And one-on-one, it was great. He made you feel important. He provided you with the resources that were necessary to be a top team. We lacked nothing in as far as having what some of the other top teams in the A League had financially and resources wise.
Yeah.
However, once he acquired Newcastle Knights, we seemed to fall back behind, and we were no longer, the preferred or liked as much. And I think that's where it all started going pear-shaped. And, he started losing interest. I remember before him acquiring Newcastle Knights, he and I would talk, 2 or 3 times a week about the Jets and the players. And he took genuine interest in players. He had his opinions. He had his favourites and so forth. And, he made some valid points. He wanted local players. I mean, if you look at the history and look at the squads, we had never ever did Newcastle Jets have so many local youth young players coming through.
Yeah.
Players under the age of 20. I think we had probably at least half a dozen in our squad of 18 or so.
Yeah.
That's what the brief was from Nathan Tinkler. Having said that, once Newcastle Knights came aboard, then things started getting a little bit out of hand. But he still, was committed and said, we still want the best players to come. I remember negotiating with Shane Smells, and I negotiated with Shane Smells for him to come to Newcastle at the same time that Jason Culina came, and we identified that we needed a number 10 and number 9. Now, the people that were behind Jason Culina, and let me get this quite clear, it was not I who wanted Jason Culina at the club.
Yeah.
It was Ken Edwards, Nathan Tinkler himself, and Ray Bartz.
Yeah.
Ray Bartz and David Lowy. David Lowy was the chief scout. He was the so-called football expert, to the committee board. Ray Bartz was the advisor and a person that Nathan Tinkler sought advice from on football matters.
Yeah.
And Ken Edwards was the CEO. Well, he wasn't the CEO. He was the football director, advisor in charge of the whole operation.
Yeah.
They were hell-bent on getting Jason Culina, and I pointed out the difficulty of having a son play there, because I had Jason at both Sydney United and Sydney Olympics, so I knew that there's a lot of people out there. They were hell-bent, and they basically saying to me, well, what kind of club are we if we can't get a player of Jason Culina's ability to come to Newcastle? I think they wanted to make a statement and saying, yes, we can match it with anyone else. We can get the best player in Australia to come and play for us. And that's why they went for Jason Culina.
Yeah.
As far as his injury was concerned, that had nothing to do with me. It was between the club and Gold Coast and FFA.
Yeah.
How can you register a player to play for you if you haven't done a medical clearance on him?
Absolutely.
You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
So somebody clearly hadn't done their work. And if you did get the medical clearance, then how can you blame anyone?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. They've either dodged that up and rigged that up and gone.
Exactly. So it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I was the head coach who simply said, yes, I do want the best player, and if Jason Culina is available and you guys want him so badly, then it's up to you. I didn't negotiate his contract because he had a manager, and that was all done between his manager and the club, Nathan Tinkler and Ken Edwards. It was Ray Bartz who wanted him badly because, again, Nathan Tinkler was all about marquee people, name profiled people, because for him that was the way to show the rest of the football community that he was serious about what he wanted to achieve, and that's how it all ended up. But in the end, from what I'm led to believe, and I still don't know today why I was sacked from the club, but I believe that was part of it, that I knew something about Jason's injury and didn't tell the club, which is absolute nonsense. Jeez. Because I had no idea that he wasn't going to be able to play that season. And again, if the medical advice had been taken or had been done properly, or if it was done, then
where did it go?
Exactly. So
exactly right. At the end of the day,
look, it was disappointing because, as I said, from being able to get two of the best players in Australia, one a striker, Shane Smelts. By the way, and the reason the Shane Smelts deal didn't go through is when Shane Smelts and I agreed on a figure, I left it to the CEO of the club to finalise the paperwork.
Yep.
And next thing you know, Shane Smelts has gone to Perth Glory.
Yeah.
And so when I asked why wasn't it done, I was told, it was too difficult. Well, in actual fact, it wasn't. The truth was that when Shane Smelts and I agreed on a figure, and our club agreed, I only offered him what the club told me to offer him. Our club and the CEO at that time went back on his word and offered him less than what we had agreed. Yeah. So Shane Smelts decided he wasn't going to play games. He had another better offer from Perth Glory and decided to go, which is a shame because Newcastle Jets at that time had a very, very solid side, and all it needed was someone who was going to be able to either create or score the goals. And in Shane Smelts, he certainly would have had goals.
Yeah.
And if Jason Culina had not been forced to come back earlier than required, maybe he would have played as well. And you could have had two of the guys, two of the best players in Australia playing in the same side, which was already a good team on paper that we had that year.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Obviously, again, the biggest thing is, and obviously a lot of fans I've heard over years and years that, the whole Culina incident where obviously with Jason in his knee and everything else. As you said, at the end of the day, you're his father. Of course, you're going to know about the knee, but you don't sign off on nothing. Like it's up to the doctors and medical staff to, go have their final say and go, yep, cool. He's fit, he can play, or look, he's going to be he's going to be out for 12 months. Let's sign him.
It would have had to. That paperwork would have had to have gone through 3 or 4 different people before it was signed off from the top. Well,
look, he was a marquee player. He was a 3-year a marquee player for 3 seasons on big money. So you don't just sign something off.
Correct.
So,
correct.
And you couldn't register players without medical certificates.
Yes.
So somebody obviously hadn't done their job, and it wasn't only, as you said, one person that would have approved it. There was a CEO in place. There was a football general manager on top of the CEO, which was Ken Edwards, and of course then you had Ray Bartz, who was the advisor, and you had Nathan Tinkler, who had to approve it. After all, it was his money. In the end, it's beyond me how they can say they didn't know about it and that, that I was behind it, didn't tell them that. I didn't need to tell them anything, even if I did know. But, I knew nothing. There was there was everyone at the club thought that because that year there was a 6-month gap, a break between the season that had just finished and the new season, because we finished in April or thereabouts, and the new season wasn't starting until October.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone said, okay, well, that's plenty of time for any injury that players might have or a player might have to recover. So, everyone was aware of the situation, but unfortunately, when the media got onto it, and I must admit there are some people in the media that, they do their job, of course, but sometimes they cause a lot of problems that...
100%.
And that probably didn't help the situation either, because people from the media were asking for answers and all of that. But everyone, including the media, knew what was going on. So, but of course, they had to,
Paint their own
write for the
picture.
papers and make up something. But
Yeah.
in the end, there were a number of people at the club that were aware, that knew exactly what was going on with Jason and his situation. And at the end of the day, if they had all done their bit, there's no way in the world that the player would have been registered if the medical documentation had not been approved. And that would have been approved by the Newcastle doctor, by the FFA doctor, and whoever. So,
Well, the biggest thing, Branko, I believe, again, don't quote me, it was a long time ago, but I'm almost certain that nearly everyone in Australia knew what was going on with his knee, because I believe he did that in the Asian Champions League.
That's right. You're spot on. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not like it's a secret.
Exactly. So, if you know that what the situation is, you make a decision. You either want the player or you don't want to, and you might say, okay, we don't want to risk it. But the club was prepared to take all the risks and all of that early. But when later on, when things didn't work out, then of course they turned.
They turned you into a scapegoat, basically.
Yeah, and changed their mind. And as I said, being on a 5-year contract, I ended up losing my job in the first 5 months of my first year without the ball being kicked.
Yeah, which we're going to touch on that very shortly as the last segment. We've got, I believe, Vignaroli was the Italian.
That's right, yeah. How should it just goes to prove I'm getting old, but Vignaroli was the player in question, and he was a terrific player for us. Unfortunately for us, he got injured with about 6 or 7 games to go before the finals, and we didn't replace him. And when you lose such a marquee player and you don't replace him, you're always going to struggle. In the short term, probably not, but in the long term, we did.
Absolutely.
And that was a real hammer blow for us. But he was that little X factor for the team. That was already a good team. As I said, we had a lot of good players that year. And once we got going, we were very good. What we needed was a little bit of that X factor, and Vignaroli was part of it. When we lost him, then it made our task that much harder. But credit to the players, we still went on and made the finals and played finals football into the second week of the competition.
Yeah, I've got a question here from Aiden. Branko, who's been the hardest player you have had to try and deal with or train? There's probably thousands.
Are we talking about general? Or
in general, whoever it may be, from the A League, the old days, the NSL, whatever. Some you've had a bit of a clash with.
Look, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had too many difficult players. There's been difficult players. The higher the profile, the more difficult the player could be sometimes. Due to their expectation and so forth. But I've never had real problems. I mean, Troy Halpin, when I was at Sydney Olympic, had his moments. He was hot and cold. On any given day, he was the best player in Australia. Probably the best all-rounder that I coached of the local players. because he could create, he could defend, he could do anything when he wanted to.
Yeah.
When he was switched on, and then when he wasn't, for whatever reason, he wouldn't. But on his day, he was incredibly talented and a top player. But he was difficult for a lot of people. I did spend a lot of time with him, and as I said, it was one of those challenges that every coach has from time to time.
Yeah.
But he'd probably be out of the locals. But look, I had Krešimir Marisic, who ended up playing, being the NSL Player of the Year in the late 90s. And he was a difficult player. Zeljko Kalac was a difficult player in many ways, because they have a bit of an ego and etc. They were all players that, needed an extra little bit of attention, and on their day could be difficult. In Newcastle, Casey Weirman was not the easiest player to deal with day to day, but he too had his great moments. When he was playing well, he was excellent. When there was a few problems, he was a handful. So, but did I have any really, the ones that you gave up? There was. Come to think of, when I was coaching Sydney Olympic, again, a guy called Adam Porridge, who played I think in Sheffield Wednesday.
That name rings a bell.
In UK for a year. He was a bit of a character as well, and for all his attributes, good attributes, he had lots of negative vibes that didn't go down too well with his fellow teammates, and in the end we had to dispense with him. We had to release him. So he was probably one that we didn't have a happy ending with.
I've got a name for you that obviously gets thrown around, and I know he's had his fair share of troubles at clubs he's been at and so forth.
I think I know where this is going.
You know where it's going?
I think so.
How was your relationship with Ljubo Milicevic?
Ljubo and I thought we had a splendid relationship, particularly early on.
Yep.
Ljubo, probably in the second season, wasn't as effective as in the first season, and I think maybe the crowd around Ljubo was not the right crowd for him, for his circumstances that we were in at the club, and maybe that's where the relationship, from my end, it didn't change, but from Ljubo's end, probably did. And I've seen and read some comments since my departure. I'm not going to go there because I just don't think it's worth it. All I'll say is that Ljubo was an outstanding player for the team in the first year when we did make the finals and went so close. But I think in the second season we had our difficulties. Not so much Ljubo and I, but within the club,
within the system,
and it's easy in hindsight to say it wasn't handled well. But when you are given an ultimatum to sort it out, or else you're gone, as well as a number of other people, you've got to then do what's in the best interest of the majority, not the minority. But again, it wasn't helped by some people around the club, so-called supporters, who made things worse than what they should have been and were.
No, as I said, that was the main one. I just know from experience. I've had the luxury of speaking to him on a few occasions, and as I said, he's a nice bloke.
Shared a flight with him once.
Shared a flight with him. Yeah, lucky. He's a great bloke, and he has had his moments and ups and downs. And as I said, I know from even him his own point of view, you know, saying that he's been a handful at past clubs that he's been at and so forth. So I just thought I had you on. I may as well ask the question of what your relationship was
No,
with him.
it's a legit, and it's one that probably hurts me a little bit because I look at myself as a coach who always tried to get the best out of players and help them, you know, through their difficult times. Another player that, you know, I felt sorry for in many ways was Kaz Patafta. Because Kaz under the previous coach wasn't being given a much of a run. So when I came on board, I made a pledge to give him every opportunity. But at the end of the day, you know, the players, when they do get the opportunity, they've got to take them because the opportunity is not going to be there forever.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, if you don't take the opportunity, you can't keep going from one club to another and blaming always somebody for your lack of opportunities or success. And as I said, I sometimes look at myself and say, hey, how could I have done things differently to get more out of such talented players, you know, or players that may have had problems or for one reason or another. So I don't look at the player, I look at myself first and say, it's my job as a coach, as a mentor, to try and, you know, get the most out of them that I can and help them to get out of themselves that extra little bit. And so as much as maybe they have failed, I've failed as well because I pride myself on trying to take the players where they can't take themselves. And, you know, I've certainly missed the mark with some of the players.
Kaz Patafta is a soft one, obviously. He had so much potential. There was so much kid at, I think it was 16 or whatever it was, scouted by Benfica, and you know, the world at his feet. You know, like he was touted to be the next Harry Kewell and stuff like that, and then unfortunately it just
a few years later, the same thing with Canner.
Didn't work out. Kanarowski as well for the Jets, obviously same thing, buying and.
But again, you know, Ben Kantarowski was another player that probably made his mark very early on, and he became a so-called superstar when he wasn't ready for it. And then, in fairness to him, he got injured. He got a lot of injuries as well at a young age. He was studying at the same time, which made things very difficult for him. But I think what Cantor needed was just good. You see, that's the problem in Australian football because we don't have too many so-called stars in the game. As soon as you unearth one or two, everyone becomes an expert and starts giving them advice what they should do and so forth. And I remember sitting down with Cantor and his family and saying, hey, let's just take one week at a time. Let's see where it takes us. Enjoy the football. And then, you know, let's make a decision at the end of the year. But now, you know, people surrounded Cantor that obviously thought they knew better. And, you know, at that young age, you just want to play football and enjoy it rather than worry about the next $1 million contract or which club you're going to go overseas to or whatever.
I think that's...
And unfortunately, you know, that didn't help the Ben Kantarowski situation.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we were only talking about again yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday.
You know, unfortunately for him, as said, you know, he signed at the Jets at 16 and everything else, and everything was at his feet, and you know, happy day that 16-year-old kid signed for the Jets.
Yeah, we were discussing the fact that ever since he had that big injury, that he's never really been able to sort of hit those heights again.
He's coasted,
Yeah, look, Ben, as I said, he was very unfortunate with the injuries at a critical time in his career. Like injuries are never good, but sometimes they can come at a really bad time where it puts you back a long way. And I think that's what he did for Ben. It put him back. Maybe if he didn't have that injury, maybe some of those so-called dreams would have become a reality. Maybe things would have been different. But the injury coupled with the high expectation in the end was
just
probably a bit too much.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much is going to lead us into the sort of the final segment. Obviously, we're going to quickly touch on obviously the sacking and what happened and everything else. The only other thing as well, I suppose, we've been lucky enough to have a few former Jets players on in the last couple of weeks. Your Joe Wheelhouses, your Taylor Regans, Matty Thompsons, and so forth. And the biggest thing is, obviously, from a fan's point of view, you know, the best thing you can say is none of them had a bad thing. You know, I mean, no one.
Not one of them has said a bad word
Not
about anyone.
one of them has said anything. So I'm talking more about this whole hype of him of Branko getting sacked and everything else. So, because, you know, I was like, were the players saying, you know, were the players not happy, or what happened? Because as you said, Branko, it really come as a shock to you. We were talking,
and Job said the same thing.
We were talking to Job, and Job clearly stated, he goes, "Look, we were down there for the season launch. You know, as normal, everything was fine.
Ready to have photos taken and stuff, and then that was it.
You come out, obviously, after taking a phone call and virtually being told that it's over, which I think, personally, again, I'm no professional, but
it's a pretty sad way to do it.
That's a piss poor way to let someone know that, unfortunately, you're not needed. What's your take on it, mate? What? Because obviously, as you said, you've never really had an explanation of why. You've never sort of. I'm guessing, obviously, they never really sat down with you. Obviously, Middleby was the CEO at the time, I believe. You know, so you weren't really told what was going on. Do you have an inkling? Do you even when they said it, did you feel, oh, maybe it was because of this, or was there any signs?
No, look, I must admit, I'm still in shock because after all this time, I still don't know that you know, the real reason behind them sacking me, because there was a lot of talk about the Jason situation, injury, that maybe I didn't tell them the truth behind Jason's injury, and that was the reason. That's the main sort of reason that I have heard, although not from the club, not from Tinkler, not from anyone else that was with the club.
Yeah, at the time,
with Rob Middleby or who's the other guy that was
Ken Edwards.
Nathan Tinkler's right-hand man,
Ken
accountant.
No, it wasn't Ken Edwards. That was oh yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
he was a piece of. I can't.
I forget their names when they no longer.
When they no longer matter.
Yeah, they don't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Because you remember good people, or you remember them because they have left. You know, whether you agree with them or disagree, you know, you respect them because they were upfront with you.
Yeah.
You know, but in this situation, as I said, unfortunately, I still don't know today. As I said, you can guess and think because there's been rumours going around that it's because of Jason's injury, but no one's officially told me that. All I know is when I saw Tinkler, when he called me, I was at the launch, and he called me to come over to his office in Sydney. I thought, we're going to discuss the season, whatever, and the launch. All I was told, but as soon as I got to his office, I felt uncomfortable because I was left sitting there waiting, and with Nathan Tinkler was his the person that ran the club for him, who was the club's accountant as well, and I wish maybe some of the listeners will know the name.
Now. Yeah.
Get in their chat.
Get in their chat, sort it out, and they'll find it. They'll dig out.
Yeah, and when I saw the two of them, I thought, "Oh, this is a bit strange. I didn't expect this."
Yeah.
And then after 20 minutes of waiting in the foyer, I was asked to come in. I knew I felt uncomfortable. I honestly did for the first time, and I thought, "Oh, what's going on?" And I was told that Jason is going to be released. Jason was going to be released, not me. Jason, and I said, "Well, what's the reason?" "Oh, his injury." And I said, "Okay, have you sat down with Jason to talk talk it over with him. Oh no, we're not going to talk to Jason. We're just going to release him. I said, but surely he's your marquee player. You want to sit down and talk to him, and and say, look, we feel that you're not going to be available to us for this season. We can't afford to wait for another marquee player. No, we decide. And we also believe that you will be difficult for you to continue on because of the situation with Jason. So, And I said, so what do you mean? And they said, well, I said, are you wanting to let me go as well? And they said, yes.
Oh, well, you had to spell it out for them. They weren't even going to cough it up for you.
No, they wouldn't tell me.
Oh,
and I thought, well, obviously it was to do with the contract and all of that.
No.
So I said, well, if that's what you want, then fine, so be it. No, no problem.
Yeah.
I said, I'm a professional, and I can understand if you want to release Jason because he's injured and he's unavailable. I mean, as a coach, I don't want an injured player either on my books, especially when he's a marquee player.
Yeah.
So if that's the call, then so be it. We'll get another one. Oh, no. You won't be able to focus on your job without Jason. So, and so I was dumbfounded when I heard that, and
Pretty
then
low.
I knew then that it was the end of me. And then I heard no later than 20 minutes later that Rob Middleby had called for a meeting with Craig Deans, and they were going to hold a training session. So, look, there was a lot of monkey business going on behind the scenes, obviously, that I wasn't aware. It would be nice to know. Was I not the right coach? Was I having problems with players? Did I not get the best out of players? I mean, they could have waited 2 or 3 games into the season, and if we'd not done well enough, they could have got rid of me, and that would have been easier for everybody. But no, they decided a couple of games.
What's the biggest thing, isn't it?
A couple of days before. Look, I think the best message I got was from Ryan Griffiths. He sent me a message on the day or the second day after that and said, I don't know what the reason was, and to be honest with you, it's not my job to find out. But one thing I just want to say, thank you for getting us to be the professionals that we need to be, and really enjoyed our pre-season this year. And that was probably something that was a bit touching because,
well, just made you feel a little bit at ease,
Ryan was an experienced player who'd seen a fair few things around the world, and for him to send a message like that, thanking me and saying for the first time that we were actually professional in the way we went about things on and off. I was pleased. But having said that, it didn't help me.
I was going to say it wouldn't have changed
keeping
moods.
the job.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's just I mean, again, you're a professional. You walk into a room like that with the record that you've got, obviously as a coach in Australia. All you want is an answer to better. If it was something to do with your training or whatever, it's going to help you regardless. Whether they're going to get rid of you, okay, sweet. You didn't like that, I'll look at changing something or whatever. When the fact that they don't give you an answer at all, again, is just
But it sort of makes you think, maybe, had you gotten an answer and found out that information a hell of a lot earlier as well, has that been a barrier to him coming back?
I remember the guy's name. It's Troy Palmer.
Guys in the chat got there.
Look, he was above Robbie Middleby. He was Nathan Tinkler's spokesman, and look, he became heavily involved in the day-to-day operations of the game, and everyone had to do pretty much what he did. I do remember a couple of newspaper interviews that I did didn't go down too well with him, and he was quite threatening about it. So next time you say something or do something that I don't approve, you'll get sacked. And I thought, that's a bit strange to talk to a coach like that without discussing things, but that's the way he was, and that's where the problem became for the club when Nathan Tinkler acquired Newcastle Knights. He no longer had that day-to-day involvement. He left it to Troy and Palmer and maybe I don't know who else, and they just lacked the knowledge of running a football club.
They looked
no
at
disrespect to Troy Palmer, he's an accountant.
Yeah.
But in a space of 6 months or less, he was running a football club. In the A League. Now that's a big step for someone who's never been involved in the game before.
Yeah, it's almost like they looked at it. They looked at the club as more of a financial asset as opposed to an actual football club.
Yeah, look, it's definitely one of those things. As we said, we had Job on the other week, and again, he had his fair share of run-ins at the end of his career at the Jets. Obviously, you gave him the captaincy role, and again, he was a professional. He was a fan favourite. Everyone loved him.
But you guys, this is what my point is in Australian football. You've got to value people with it. You've got to look after people that are playing at your club or coaching or whatever. Like Joe Wheelhouse was a die-hard Newcastle Jets through and through. He grew up in Toronto and loved Newcastle. That's why I made him the captain. And he was a local player. It was all to do with that local view of having locals, looking after them, making them, showing them that, hey, if they do the right thing, they'll get rewarded. And that was part of the reason why I made Joe Wheelhouse the captain.
Yeah.
He was a good player who was, not guaranteed a starting 11, but he was in the starting 11 unless he didn't produce.
He was a leader. He had leadership qualities.
Yeah. And he had, he had Newcastle at heart. He was a leader. He played hard for himself, for his teammates, for the club, and then, you've got to look after people like that. You don't shove them aside and say, hey, we don't need you anymore. Especially, I think Job was still had a couple of good years left in him.
Absolutely.
At the top level. So I think that's what's missing, not only at Newcastle. It's missing then. It's missing in the game all over the country because we don't have that history. We don't have that culture where you belong. Someone asks me today, who do you support in the A League? And I have to think twice, hard about it because I've coached two teams, Sydney FC, good moments with them as well as Newcastle.
Yeah.
And I should be pretty off the, like a bullet should be saying, either Sydney FC or Newcastle, but I don't because I've got this sour taste left in my mouth from the experiences that I've had at both clubs. Because clubs don't look after, because there's nothing wrong with sacking people or getting rid of people or replacing people, but just have the decency to let them know and let them know why.
100%. Transparency in it.
Absolutely. And as I said, I'm not saying that the Newcastle Jets, even now, are, high and above where they were, all those years ago. We're lucky that Laurie is very open at the moment with the Jets. Even with the sacking over Ernie Merrick, he was very, I'm putting my hand up. Yes, I fight it, but at least he was honest. He told everyone.
But that's the difference, guys. Laurie has played the game. He's coached the game.
Correct.
He's administered that game.
He's been in every part of it.
He knows what needs to be done, and that's the kind of people we need in the game.
Absolutely.
100%.
They know it from the player's point of view, but they know it from a coach, and they know it from the administrative point of view because they know what the owners or the board wants as well. So he's able to put all his experience in place and be able to deal with situations as they arise. And whether you agree or disagree with it, at least he gives you the reasons or he keeps you informed with what's going on at the club and what they're doing. And unfortunately, as I said, for me anyway, in my time at Newcastle, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We do what do we got down here?
Chad.
I'll let you read that one from Chatty.
So we've got a message here from the Facebook side of things from Chad, and he said, in regards to Troy Palmer, he goes, he had a go at me through a friend because I was in the Newcastle Herald about the Jets folding. She worked with him, and I said, I saw your friend in the paper, and I'm not happy. So, to me, and this comes personally from me as a person, he seems like a bit of a snake.
Well, look, as I said, it's all gone. It's all history now, but it's disappointing because, as I said, I've been in the game for a long, long time, even before the Newcastle situation, and I thought I deserved a little bit better than what was dished out right at the end, and unfortunately, because of all that, maybe it hampered my career going forward. But it is what it is. You've just got to take it on the chin. And as I said, I've been lucky enough and blessed that I've survived in the game for a long period of time. And probably the biggest accolade I got was last year when I was inducted into the FFA Hall of Fame. So obviously, there's some people out there that thought you were doing your job some of the work that I've done.
I think, and that's pretty much it. That was my last thing. Obviously, it was virtually congratulating you obviously on the induction. As I said, mate, my final question virtually is straight up. You've obviously the last couple of years you've been coaching at a lower level with a couple of newer teams. St George, obviously, you've only been in the existence since I think 2016, and you've got Canterbury and
Fraser Park.
I think was the other one. Yeah, Fraser Park. What's obviously you've gone down a bit to help these teams out. What's next for you, mate? Are you happy just sort of kicking back? Do you feel like you've got a little bit more to give to football in general in Australia, or are you happy with where you've left it and where you're at?
Yeah, look, you mentioned a couple of lower division clubs there. Really, the only one that was a serious job was Rockdale after Newcastle. They were NPL 1, and I went there and spent 3 years, and we had a fair bit of success there. The club had never previously made the finals. We went to the finals every year. We won a pre-season cup, made the grand final, and so forth. So that was the other clubs were, where I've gone and helped out halfway through the season because they didn't strive and all of that, and only because when you love coaching and you're you want to go in there and try and help change things, you can't help yourself. But I haven't been doing that for a couple of years now. I'm just involved at a private school where I work with year 7s to year 10s as a technical director. And look, I'm comfortable with that. I'd be lying if I was to say that I wouldn't be interested in being involved at a higher level, but I'm a realist as well. And knowing that I haven't been involved at the top level since I left Newcastle, I'm not sure that the opportunity will be there. Although having a look around some of the clubs that are being, there are some clubs now that are bringing people out that haven't been around for a while. So you never know. But look, as I don't think it will happen. Irrespective of what happens, I'm fortunate to have been involved in the game for such a long period of time. I've had lots of wonderful moments, some not so wonderful, but overall more good days than bad days. And as I said, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for all the wonderful people I've met in the game, and I just hope that along the way I've helped some people enjoy their game a bit more than they probably would have. And I also apologize to others that probably I've disappointed or I have in some definitely not intentional way hurt with some of my decisions, because as a coach over many years you make decisions sometimes that don't sit too well with everybody, and
Yep.
I know I have made decisions that haven't always gone down too well with some players. If that's the case, then I'm sorry. It was never intentional, and I've always done things for the best, in the best interest of the club and the organisation that I work for.
Yeah, mate, absolutely well said. We thank you very much for obviously jumping on. Apologise for all the technical difficulties and stuff and around. We should have just made the phone call straight up.
We got there in the end.
We should have just done the phone
We got there in the end.
Made it a little bit easier. From me, mate, all I have to say, obviously, as a Jets fan, and again, lucky enough, to be part of the fan base since day one. I thank you for your time. As I said, you were a technical director beforehand. I do apologise, obviously, again, on behalf of the club at the time. I personally think as a fan, it's a disgrace how they have handled the situation. Again, it doesn't matter now; it's been done and so forth. But at the same time, mate, it's very unprofessional. And from a fan, mate, I honestly appreciated your time, and I know there's a lot of guys in here who appreciated what you've done for the club. And as I said, giving the youngsters a go, and obviously, I'm sure Joe Wheelhouse will sit here and thank you for everything you've done for him, obviously, at the time as well. So, again, mate, we'll be in touch and so forth. We might get you on, obviously, hopefully when we've got a bit of football.
Yeah, that would be nice to get back to and forget some of the problems. But look, finally, I just want to wish Newcastle Jets all the very best. I think they're heading in the right direction, although it's always going to be difficult for regional clubs. I've been saying that forever because of the financial resources that they don't have compared to the likes of some of the metropolitan clubs, city clubs, big city clubs that are owned by multi-millionaires or billionaires. So the regional clubs are always going to find it a little bit tougher, but they deserve success. They're a wonderful place. I enjoyed my time over there. In spite of what happened in the end, it's a lovely city, and as I said, I also wish you guys all the very best for what you're doing for the game, because every bit of publicity is great for the game, and it's something that, if we want the game to grow and be, have the profile that we want it to have, then we need all this publicity, all these little social medias to get behind the game and do what you guys are doing. So thank you, and wish you all the very best.
Nah, mate, absolutely.
Your future endeavours.
At the end of the day, mate, we're only here we're no journos. We're just here to, obviously, as you said, we love the game, and we want to see it as Australians grow and to make it better than in 30 to 50 years, a lot better than what we've got it right now. And
what we had it as youngsters.
Guys, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
This has been on the back of my mind for a while.
Yeah.
Before I left Newcastle, before I was shoved out of Newcastle, I ran into the squadron leader back in those days, who was very influential. I'm not sure if he's still involved in the club, but he made a lot of comments about me that were untrue, that I just like to clear up once and for all. Absolutely. I never had a chance, because once I left Newcastle, that was it. I didn't do any interviews, but I just want to clarify this. It's absolute nonsense what that guy was saying about. Apparently, he was saying to the squadron and the supporters that I would not allow the players to go and thank the supporters for coming to the game, whether it be interstate or at home, and that I didn't want them to go to the opposite side and clap them after the game, and that I made it difficult for them. That is an absolute nonsense and garbage, and I, for the life of me, don't understand how anyone in their right frame of mind would come up with something like that, because I've always encouraged the players to thank the supporters, win, lose or draw, for coming to the game. Obviously, when we won, it was a lot more pleasant, but whether we lost or drew or whatever, and particularly when we played interstate, I always encouraged them to go and thank the supporters. So for that guy to spread rumours like that about me, it is just absolutely ridiculous, and it probably I don't know, maybe because he was close to people at Newcastle at the time, maybe that had something to do with me being sacked as well. But I just wanted to get that off my chest and say what a lot of nonsense that was, because it's not true. Some of the supporters, I thought I had a wonderful relationship with a lot of the supporters, and certainly even those that I didn't, I would never ever have done anything like that, to the players, because at the end of the day, without supporters, we're nothing.
Well, I can counter on. I can definitely agree with you on that one. I've been a part of the squadron since day one. I've known everyone from the top. I'm lucky enough, obviously, to be one of the guys at the top of that at the time. Obviously, the NCL now and everything else, all the supporter bases. And I can tell you straight up that I would totally agree with you that, and I do apologise in regards to all that, because I don't think I've been there. I've been to nearly every home game, and a bloody shitload away. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever seen the Jets walk away after a loss. They might be upset, they might be pissed off, they might be angry, but at the end of the day, they walk over. So again, mate, I do apologise in regards to that. Whoever, I can't even remember who it was. I can't even remember that personally.
Yeah,
mate.
I think it was a guy called Tim from memory.
Tim Sheldon. Tim Sheldon. Yeah.
But which is sad, because at the end of the day, I even sat down at one of the awards nights and tried to explain to him that it's not. But obviously, he made his mind up and he wasn't prepared to listen. And we mentioned earlier about one of the players who might have had a difficult time. Yep. I have no doubt that he was influenced by one or two of those individuals, which was sad, because, as I said, we didn't need those hassles. No. We needed to be united, and for Newcastle to be strong, it needs everybody pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, mate. And again, I do apologise for anything that happened. As I said, mate, you're nothing but professional. In my eyes, obviously, as a fan, you got the boys up, and we had downsides as well. But it happens in football. It's again, you and I know better than anyone, Ben. It's the Jets in a nutshell. We go up, we go down, and unfortunately, it's a fan thing as well, where the fans, they only come, and they're only fans, and they're only excited when you win. Yeah. No one gives a shit when they're losing. They don't want to rock up. And the 2000 and our grand final against Melbourne Victory is a bloody damn carbon copy of that, because everyone bitched and whinged, and I will say it on my channel, bitched and whinged, because they couldn't get tickets, or they couldn't do this, or members were allowed 10 tickets per member, and then afterwards, obviously, no one could get good seats. Well, it doesn't cost much. Ben, as I said, we're currently in Melbourne. I moved down to Melbourne, and Ben's obviously lived here his whole life, been a Jet supporter, and he still pays his membership, whether it be $40 or whatever it is a year to be a non-local member. Yeah, for a supporters membership for me, I think I pay something like $8 a month for 9 months. It's not a lot. Which guarantees him a ticket. In situations like that, it guarantees me preferential treatment, like every other member of the club, to go and buy tickets before they go out to the general public. Yeah. And again, and that's not just me. That's my partner who has her own membership, and both my kids have their own memberships. Exactly. So it doesn't cost much to become a member. It's the whole idea is to pay. You pay it to support your club. Yeah, Chris has got it damn well straight in the chat. What? A lot of people were Jet supporters that night. Yeah, absolutely. But it goes for every club. It's everyone. And down to your local leagues and everything else, you become a member to put money into the club. You know what I mean? It's what it's all about. Yeah. It's your contribution as a fan to help the club. Yeah, Chad's got it right. 16,000 plastic fans. 16,000 plastic fans. I flew halfway across the country to be at that game. Yeah. So, look, mate, 100%. And again, we can sit here and again, this is why we're not journos, because we can talk all night. But we are going to leave it there with you. Thank you very much for coming on again. As I said, mate, once we've got a bit of football, we'll jump on and catch up with you, and hopefully talk about some real football. Other than that, mate, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys, and all the best.
No worries, mate. Hope
the very best to Newcastle Jets when the season resumes.
Absolutely, and hope your family and all that are going well, mate, in this obviously COVID-19 scenario as well, mate.
Thank you.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much. So there we have it. Yeah, that was okay.
Every club does it, but it sucks that so many loyal fans stuck with the team through the Tinkler era to miss out. Lukey.
Yeah, Gibbo. Yeah. Look, it's again the whole squadron thing is just that's just not the shit of me. But look, at the end of the day, we've got to thank him for obviously his time. Again, you heard it here first. He didn't get to say his piece. He didn't get to say thank you to the fans or anything like that. Okay, you could have done it on social media, on Facebook, but no one wants to do that. No one should have to do that as a coach. You know what I mean?
Nobody should have to come on a local podcast like that. Ernie
Merrick got his chance, obviously, with an interview.
Yep.
Which is fine. Again, it was at Newcastle TV.
It is a basic human right to ask those sort of questions, whether you're a football manager or you work as a bloody forklift driver. You have the right to ask your employer why you have been sacked.
Yeah.
It's a God-given right.
Yeah. Look, again, it's...
and as we all know, there's two sides to every story.
Absolutely. Look, and there is two sides to every story. If we get a chance to get Tinkler on, or get friggin' Robbie Middleby on, or something like that, no dramas. And let's get their side of the story. As I said, I'm not going to sit here and take Branko's side and stick with him until I've got all the evidence and that. And even if we do get all the evidence and it's all wish-wash and shit like that, at the end of the day, as Branko said, it's in the past. He don't care anymore. It's done.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he just doesn't want to feel like he done anything negative towards the club.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for him. It's he wants to come into a club and leave a club.
He still thinks about the club, and you can tell by the way that he talks and how he talks about things that he still has the club at heart.
Since 2011, and to spill Tim out of Timber Sheldon, who was the current Tifo, the main honcho at the time and so forth, and again, I've known him since day one. He's a good bloke in my eyes. If that all went down, that's news to me. But at the same time, who's going to remember that? If they're still not ticking over in the club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. We struggle to get Discord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We struggle to sort out Discord, but friggin' boom, straight up. Again, the biggest thing for me about this whole scenario is the club has to be one, and that starts from the top and it ends at the bottom.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be... You go and support the boys every chance you can. Whether we're losing by friggin' getting flogged every week, or we're winning every week, or whatever it is. Tink's there. Look, you remember he couldn't get a ticket, getting the ticket from someone else.
During the Tinkler era.
Oh, during the Tinkler era. Oh, right, okay. It's, the biggest thing, as I said, the whole idea of this podcast, and this is the biggest thing, the whole idea is it's not to to rustle feathers with anyone. It's not to cause any dramas or any shit like that with past players or coaching staff.
We look at it like
the whole idea is...
The past is the past. It's done.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's it. We get these guys on and stuff like that, and if they want to talk about it, let them go. We're not going to sit here and stop them, and I'll bring up a topic, and if he doesn't want to go down that topic road, I'll just let it go and we'll move on.
Yep.
It's that simple. I'm not going to sit there and hound him when he obviously doesn't want to talk about something or whatever.
Yeah. You troublemakers. We're not
Ricky, I told you, Ricky. What did I tell you about 10, 15, 20 minutes before we went on air? What did I tell you?
What did you tell him? Oh, tell me off there.
I
wasn't privy to that conversation. Normally I am.
It was going. I know. Again,
Did you have a feeling?
I'm not one of those guys where, I keep up to date with obviously a lot of football, and I try and know a lot of things about football. And I've lucky enough to have met Branko a couple of times as a Jet supporter and so forth. And he's not shy, and as we proved that tonight, he's willing. He wants to say something.
He wants to clear the letter.
He's going to
clear
get
it.
And that's where I was like, oh, this could go anywhere, and here we are.
And you mentioned something about that to me the other day,
Yeah,
and
I
I
know,
turned
and you're
around
like,
to you
no,
and
no,
said,
no, no.
Are you sure about doing that live, or do you think this is maybe one
Nah,
that we should
don't get
record?
in the road. You were like, nah, we'll be right. It's fine. There's no
I was
problem."
the one that said to you,
And
do
it
you
wasn't
think this
until
is maybe
yesterday.
something that we should be recording so I can edit just in case?
It wasn't
and
until
you
yesterday.
said no.
It wasn't until yesterday.
You
Don't give me
said
that shit.
no.
No, don't give me that shit. It wasn't until yesterday when we got off the phone to him and you went, oh, hang on. This could be interesting. But no, look, honestly, we thank him for his time. He's a great bloke and a worthy recipient.
Tinkler
Obviously.
Era with the Hunter Ports sponsor. Yeah, Hunter Sports Group.
Yeah. He's an absolute
I'm going to go digging into that. I want to go in a little bit more depth in that era at some point.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Not on the pod. No.
Oh, no, I said, like, whatever. Yeah. But at the end of the day, a well-deserved recipient of, obviously, going into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, he's done absolutely amazing things for this sport,
And
obviously, in the
still
country.
doing stuff for
He's done, that's it. He still wants to do
in
stuff.
kids.
You know, he's still, obviously, he's in schools now. But he's, you know, if an opportunity comes knocking, he still wants to do something. He still feels he's got something to give. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I believe he's only 62, I think. Maybe around early 60s, I think. So he's still got plenty of time in the game and everything else, like, if he wants it. And he's only going to...
62.
There you go. And he'll only come out to something that if something appeals to him. He's not going to go do it just for
For the shits and gigs.
If he honestly feels that he can bring something to that club or whatever level it may be,
Yeah.
okay. If not, he won't even look at it. He'll just go, no thanks. I'm not even going to go.
Yeah, not bothered.
Yeah, not bothered. So we do thank everyone who has been on tonight. The other thing I do want to touch on, obviously.
Luke, it was Hunter Sports Group.
Yeah, Hunter Sports Group. Yep. Is obviously far out.
And Tinkler Group Holdings.
It was Tinkler. I was going to say.
And it was Tinkler Group Holdings. No, it was Tinkler Group Holdings as well as they had Hunter Sports Limited.
It was Tinkler Group Holdings, the main one. PTY Limited, friggin' yeah, it was the main one.
Yeah.
Okay. Off all that, thank you everyone for joining and obviously listening to all that. For everyone who put a question in, sweet as, thank you very much. Competition time. We do have a giveaway, as you guys have seen on my Facebook page. Be sure to get in there and share it. Tag your mates in there. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the Facebook page.
And hit the button.
And
there we go.
That is what you guys could end up with, thanks to Mako and Gabriel Mar, optometrist at Jesmond. As I said, guys, be sure to go in and check out everything that Lockie and so forth have to offer.
There we go.
There we go with that. Pop in, say hello, mention that you're a fan of this podcast or you've been watching the podcast. And again, Lockie's a good mate of mine. He'll look after you guys if you need anything, whether it be eye tests or glasses, prescription sunnies to glasses, whatever. We do thank them guys, obviously, for being our major sponsor. Other than that, guys, I think we're going to slowly wrap it up now. We do thank you guys. Thanks, Ben, for jumping on.
Always a pleasure.
Bit of a technical guru. He's been Googling friggin' ways to friggin' improve our sound and quality. And
well, no, I've had that one in mind for a few days, but with the issue that we were having tonight, it's only recently brought it back to my head again that I need to go out to JCar and buy.
You know how hard it is? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got one laying around somewhere.
Do you know how hard it is? I've watched. Again, I don't know about you guys in the chat, but I've watched a shite load of interviews over this whole shit period. Whether it be Optosports or friggin' whatever.
I haven't really.
Holy shit. The amount of dramas that people are having, like from the top. Fox Sports, SBS The World Game, and stuff like that. These professionals who should have got paid people there to sort this shit.
They have 10 of me doing this job.
Exactly. And have had so much dramas. And
have more trouble than us.
Yeah, it drops in, drops out. The audio's crackly and shit and everything else.
It's also the
it's
way. It's
amazing.
Yeah, but it's also to do with the
we've had dramas, don't get us wrong.
technology.
But it's just amazing that professionals and like Optosports and everything. Like Schwartz, Vinnie Grella dropped out the other day. They were talking to him for like 3 minutes until they realised that he was actually gone, and they thought he was ignoring him. That he was ignoring everybody. He just wasn't there. But But yeah, so what do you got? See that?
You lads heard anything about Boogs to India and Regan to the Jets? I've heard about the second one.
Reeks to the Jets.
I've heard about Reeks to the Jets.
Of course I've heard about Reeks to the Jets. I told Carl last week. I'll be his new scout.
Yeah. You
got to
speak to Carl about when
just
you're
got to
getting
pay me in beer and flights up there and accommodate. Well, don't worry about accommodation.
Cheers, boys. Better get back to work, Chris. You work.
Yeah, well, mate, it should be on the big screen. Should have all the viewers, workers in there.
Oh yeah.
Bloody hell, it's gonna be.
Yeah,
better.
I knew about the Regan one. I didn't know about the.
Nah, the Regan ones are all going around. Some UK reporter. He's been getting around lately.
Is that the one Laurie was talking to us the other day when we had a meeting?
Yeah, he got to Reegs, and that's how that Reegs one come about because that's that UK reporter.
And I think Laurie had a few choice words about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Laurie's always got a few choice words, but anyway.
Know about said reporter.
Yeah, about lots of reporters.
Just reporters in general.
He doesn't like us at all.
But we're not reporters.
So he keeps reminding me. But yeah, look, as I said, Boogs to India, mate. Good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck.
That's no disrespect to him, but good luck to him. If he wants to go to India, sweet as.
We'll do a swap.
Taylor
They can have Boogs. We'll have Eric. We'll have Eric Partaloo.
Taylor
back.
to the Jets.
We'll have Partaloo. Still waiting for the announcement of Josh Ferreira as new scout.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Don't
going
worry,
on.
mate. Carl's been in contact.
He
was in contact today.
He emailed me today. I don't know. Who knows? It's just wait for the right time. He's not going to do it overseas. How can you shake my hands and everything?
Yeah. How can you hold the shirt up?
Yeah. You can't even let him allowed in the club. Laurie talking to us the other day about there being there on his own. Playing tiddlywinks with himself.
No, he had didn't he have Cass with him?
Oh,
somebody was there.
She came in.
Somebody was there with him.
She came in for a meeting or whatever. But yeah, I'm still waiting, Luke. Time's ticking. Another club might come in. MacArthur might be looking for someone or something.
You never know. I might get employed by the job to set up the VAR screens. Who knows?
Absolutely.
As the technical advisor.
I'm telling you now. The question.
You know what? I'd sit there doing VAR from my own home down in Melbourne. I'd just sit here and just have it all up. I got 3 screens. That's plenty.
Yeah, no. I honestly, Chatty, I don't see Boogs leaving anywhere. He's got his building company all sorted and set up, and he's just done, as he said, he's just done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, mate, it's okay. The Indian Premier League going to go for about 4 months, so he might just take a little holiday.
6-week holidays.
So you get paid a couple of $1 million.
Actually, I heard whispers that apparently Christian's coming back, but that's nothing to do with us.
No, he needs to come back. He's a gun. He ain't got many years left. He needs to come back to A League where, again, he's not playing for 3 months of the year or whatever it is.
Aiden, who are you guys talking to about getting on in the future? Nanya.
Yeah, look.
Nanya.
It's one of those things, man. Like, as I said, it comes and it goes. As I said, I think I've said this on previous episodes. I've spoken to shite loads. Okay, actually, I rephrase that. I have sent messages to shite loads.
Tons and
so many past and present players. And present players at the moment are going to be a dime a dozen. They're not getting paid.
Present players, well, yeah.
Why would they come on? They're not getting paid. Laurie said that to us the other week. Good luck with that. Which is fine. That's all good. Look, so it's going to be like your past players and so forth. Again, as we said, we're in no competition with the Jetstream or anything like that. I believe they got Gary Van Egmond on tomorrow, so that should be an interesting read or listen. Sorry, not read, because you're not going to read it. You're going to listen to it.
You are going to go and listen to it.
If it doesn't glitch.
You are, even if it does, you are going to go and listen to it.
At the end of the day, Gary Van Egmond will be an interesting one as well. Obviously,
good old Dutchie.
Sure, he's got plenty of shit to say and everything else. As for us, look, who knows? Who knows?
We have.
Oh, look, I've got.
We have things in the pipeline that we're not quite ready to discuss yet.
Nah, look, at the end of the day, guys, we don't have to be sitting here doing this shit all the time. We want to expand eventually, and when it happens, it happens. We want to move, obviously, again, up from a green screen, get a bigger green screen, bigger office.
No, we want to be able to do this where you can sit in the comfort of your own home and I can sit in the
be
comfort of my own home.
That'd be fantastic. But at the same time...
Instead of you going, I don't know how it works.
It'll be still like that. It's just Team viewer.
Yeah, TeamViewer. Can you come into TeamViewer and set it all up for me? Jesus Christ.
Mate, you know what the worst day's going to be? When you have to pay for TeamViewer. Mate, they're probably watching me go, this bastard.
Why do that? You're that cheap. You'd make me drive halfway across town to get to you. Can you come and fix it?
Yeah, we heard that first. He said that. So when I say to him, you're coming over, you no, I'm not. No, you said on live.
No, I won't be.
Live, that's what's happening. So that's what's happening.
I'll chat next week.
I'll chat next week. Yeah, actually, no. Actually, good question. Chatty. Yes. I did speak.
Yes.
Calm down. He's not deaf. Probably is now. I've spoken to Alex Evans, Evo.
Oh, Evo.
We're
not going to talk about Leeds again, are we?
No, we're freaking not. I am looking, if you're free next Friday night, I did speak to him about doing another trivia night. Because, as I said, to answer Aiden's question, have we got anyone lined up? No. They come and they go and they don't answer or don't reply, so be it. Oh, hit up Branko, see if Jason Culina's going. Whatever.
It's worth a shot.
Absolutely. So yeah, Chatty, if you're free.
We had one turn around to us earlier this week and said they don't want to talk because they don't want to be involved in football anymore.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
And we're not going to say who that is.
yeah, it's the funniest chat ever. You don't expect a reply at all. You get a reply and you don't expect the response that you get when you get the reply. It's like, nah,
I want nothing to do with football anymore.
Done with football. Done with football.
Okay.
We'll leave that up to you guys to work out who you might think that could be.
Whoa, Chatty. Whoa. Who are you calling a PB?
Evans.
Okay.
Alex,
that's right. As long as he didn't say it about me, I'm fine with that.
He was.
Shut up! I slap you.
He's not a fan of Birmingham.
Was that Hooley? Oh, fucking no! That name is banned. No, it wasn't.
No. Oh yeah. Could you imagine that? He's playing football.
You know what? I'd be more interested about hearing the stories. From fucking Jane Fajili than what I do about him.
Hey, let's try and get Hool on. Oh
no! No!
Watch the viewers.
We weren't even allowed to say his name in the middle of a stadium. What makes you think we're going to allowed to be able to say it in the middle of my room?
We won't. We'll change the header and we'll put something completely different. We've got the Pope on.
You remember that game?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Remember that game? We got yelled at.
Secco's in that over. Yeah.
Yeah, the Secco told him we weren't allowed to say his name.
He didn't even play for us. Who gives a shit?
Exactly. Where was that? Was that the coast? Was that at the coast? The A2?
I can shout him. I can shout him a six packs if he comes over. I don't think so, mate. Cheapskate over here. Freaking two sugars and a freaking teaspoon of coffee, mate. We're sorted. Done.
As long as it's Makona. No, Aiden. No.
David.
I would not be able to hold my shit.
Oh, David Carney. Yes.
I would not be able to hold my shit. That one you can do by yourself.
There's plenty of ones.
I feel the same about him in the same way that I feel about Robbie Savage.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, you can do that one by yourself. I'll set it up and walk out the room. You can do it yourself.
In trivia. What's that Hool in there? Yeah, so Chatty, if you're free next Friday...
Are we doing trivia again?
We're going to do trivia.
Oh, fuck. I'll ask the old man.
Such a shit story. Yeah, because we don't do it very often, so get him on.
As long as there's no A-League round. That'll be the only case.
There will be no A-League round, Chad. There will be no A-League.
Because the old man knows nothing about
it. Honestly, it's just so hard to find anything.
It's hard to get questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard. Like, the questions... Hool's not... No.
What do we want some has-been that's playing at Broady?
Mate, he went overseas and then went to Broadmeadow. That's massive. Massive coup for Broadmeadow.
Yeah.
Overseas place.
Oh, I've signed for Broadmeadow, mate. No, you haven't signed for Broadmeadows in
MP.
Melbourne.
I wonder if they've got an international cap.
No, I bet you before he signed that contract with Broadmeadow, he's like, I'm moving to Melbourne.
His brother.
Nah, I'm moving to Broady.
His brother moved.
Broadmeadow's in Melbourne.
Yeah,
he's sticking us again. I'm going to Europe. I'm going down the coast.
I'm pretty sure his brother moved. His brother was at Broadmeadow. He doesn't play there anymore, I think.
Who we found the dodgy Tinder profile of?
Oh yeah, the Tinder profile. Yeah,
with a different name.
Yeah. Chris knows him. Chris knows him well. Sees him down at Windale, Coles or whatever it was. He's seen him down there a few times. I'm in. Right, Chatty, done.
Have you been able to get Zads. Zads. Get onto Zads.
Zad's like, I've totally...
Zads, lads!
I've totally forgot about Zadkovic. Shit.
I thought you spoke to him the other week.
No, I spoke to...
After we spoke to Damien.
What's my phone? Oh, there. Oh, yeah.
Near the microphone where you left it.
Where we left it. No, I spoke to... And I'll let you know.
He's not at Magic now. Where is he now, Chatty?
Oh, really?
Wow, pretty sad.
Jesus, it's like...
Hang on. Sydney, Jets, Coast, Broady.
Jesus, this bloke
finished in
is
football.
Mum's like, geez, that bloke could talk. That's good. Makes our life easier.
She messaged me as well going, who's Branko?
Yeah. Anyway, back to what we were just saying, because we are on live TV, and I'll just go back to...
You're not on TV.
Yeah, my TV, yeah. It was...
Oh, have you got on to my mate? My mate? Did you get on to my mate? Will he do it?
Caravella.
Zenon
Caravella. So he's actually on
top. Scroll to the top. Has he replied? Has he replied? Right.
But yeah, look, we've spoken to a few... Oh shit, 6%. I forgot to...
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Chatty. He hasn't got time to play football anymore. He's too busy in court with his DUI.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, look, as I said, guys, I've got onto plenty of their... I'm going to get Daniel McBreen on. That is a...
Breeny.
I've spoken to him and so forth, but because there's no football, he had to go back to work, and he's working night shifts. So, life's hard. Life's hard not being a footballer anymore. I did say to him that freaking Edgy might take you back. Score another goal like that every week, and freaking I'll take you back.
Score that once a month, I fucking have him.
Yeah, I said I wouldn't mind. I said go speak to your mate, freaking oh shit.
Who?
At Kahiba. Who's coaching down there? He's going to play for the Central Coast. Freaking the German. Lewis Wilson! Hey,
was
buddy!
in my head the other day. Who the hell was it? Weird name.
Yeah.
Andre Gumprek.
Gumprek, that's him. Yeah, get on the Gumprek. Get down to Kahiba.
Get out of Gahiva.
Love a run. But yeah, look, as I said, there's a lot of things that we do want to do that we're going to try and get back on. I'm going to try and do a MPL trivia. So we'll get Zaney back on to try and get...
Graham.
We'll see how his internet goes.
Yes, Chad, Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Ricky and Chad got there in the end.
Grumpy, yeah. Yeah, that's who it was. Again, I wouldn't mind speaking to Gumprecht. He's a good bloke. I've met him a couple of times, obviously, at Kahiba, because I used to play there.
Actually, I got a couple of extra names that I'll pass on to you.
But yeah, as I said, guys, if you guys have got any names that you want to throw out to me or know and hit them up for me, that'd be fantastic.
Thank
you. Yeah, look, as I said, we'll talk to anybody. You know what I mean? As I said, it's a matter of... I messaged Branko last week and just said, hey, do you want to jump on? And he was like, 100%, let's do it.
Even if they're not Jets related.
No, I just said I don't care. Like I said...
Something different.
Again, it's hard.
And a different perspective from maybe somebody who's been at different clubs.
Yeah,
to see how they view the Jets in the way that we run versus how they run. And
yeah. Look,
that would be interesting. Like, that's something I'd like.
There's little things, obviously, that...
Can I plug something as well while I'm here?
Yeah.
Everybody, if you're not subscribed to them on YouTube, go and subscribe to bloody Tifo Football and go watch the video that they put up from their podcast last night.
Mm-hmm.
They had the bloke who's head of recruitment and data analysis at Sydney FC. Fucking really interesting listen.
Make sure you subscribe.
Really interesting listen.
Make sure you subscribe to me first and then go subscribe to them, because I'll be pissed if you don't.
Anthony Richards, current Magic coach.
Yes, he is.
Have you guys ever interviewed the GOAT? I'd love to. Actually, I wouldn't like to. The missus would.
Yeah, I think
Mrs. loves the GOAT.
I don't think it'd be an interview. The volume would have to be down.
We'd have to hide the helium balloons.
Yeah, look, as I said, guys, current players, coaching staff, and all that sort of stuff
It's generally off.
is all in the pipes and all in plans. You know what I mean? Again, I will interview them if I'm available to interview them.
Yeah.
But as we've found, none of them are working. It's very hard. Again, not too bad for Carl. We were lucky enough to get Carl. That was thanks to Laurie. And again, he's twiddling thumbs over there.
Yeah.
He's literally walking the dog 3 times a day.
Hoffy, Chad. Hoffy.
Hoffy.
The goat. There is
goat.
only
The
one
goat.
goat.
The goat.
There is only one goat.
How many goats have we got on the site?
Only the one. There is only the Hoff.
Oh, yeah.
Messi's not a goat.
Cutting grass and save it for fourth.
Yeah, it keeps the pitch tidy.
Only got only got one goat.
The Hoff.
In saying that, guys, there are things that I do want to I'll quickly talk about before we do wrap it up in regards to when football's back. When football's back, we are going to, and I haven't spoken to you about it, but we're going to, because it'll happen anyway. We are going to do an away day at some point.
Are we organising a proper away day?
So obviously the Jets, the squadron and NCL and all the boys, tour of duty.
Yeah,
that's a
we
given.
never had one last year.
We haven't had one. The season hasn't finished. Still time. But at the same time, we're going to organise our own, and it's not going to be anything special. No, but I mean, let's try and get all our viewers and everything else. We'll tee up a game next season or whatever it is, and we'll pick an away day, and away we go.
Anyway.
Right, what the fuck?
There was a bit of discussion off stream there for a second.
He's virtually just trying to wind me up. That's all it is.
No, I'm not.
But we'll
Heads up.
No, fuck that.
Email it to yourself so I see
Jeff
it.
Young. How are you, mate? What? Yeah, absolutely, that's exactly what it is.
Not in Mexico.
Not in Mexico. Yeah. Everyone loves Mexico.
I'd like to do Perth.
Yeah, I think the ones for me are...
I haven't done Perth.
Perth would be a good one. Adelaide, again, is a good one.
Adelaide's brilliant.
That's a great
Yeah, but we can get him with... We can speak to Robbie about it if we go there.
Oh, yeah. But,
Word Robbie up.
But, as I said, let's try and sort something out like that. We'll friggin' pick one.
Ones in Sydney don't count.
One's in Sydney, exactly. One's in Sydney for you don't count, and Melbourne for us doesn't count.
Well, Melbourne sort of does count for us, but
an
away day in Sydney does not count.
No, Melbourne...
Because it's not an away day if we have to travel further than what they do.
Oh. Melbourne...
At least if they have to travel to Perth, it's longer for them to travel.
Much. Bloody... But again, we'll as I said, we'll tee something up, guys. I'd love Adelaide. Wait,
and that's purely because Coopers is an awesome stadium.
How good is Adelaide?
Coopers is an awesome stadium to watch.
As I said, we'll sort. That's something I want to do. Is obviously with everyone is let's all get out. Let's get on an away day. Get on the beers, and we'll do some video recording and stuff like that. And let's get everyone in on it and so forth, and get a win and sink more beers and. Just for future, just make sure, guys, when you do order your plane tickets, you get your name spelt correctly. All right, it's something I need to bring up. It's very important. Hands in face moment for Ben because I'll never let him forget it.
Do I recount the story considering we've spoken about that day tonight?
Right, final story. Right,
before we go. Final story. So, when the Jets played victory in Newcastle for the grand final, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I got my tickets. I booked my flights. It was a fucking terrible flight because I was in jet skier and there was about fucking 95 other people in Melbourne.
He was excited to come,
gear.
He was excited.
I thought I was going to get my head kicked in before I even got to Newcastle. But anyway, that was, funnily enough, the same flight when I was with Lubo. But anyway, so what happened is I booked my flights prior when we'd fucking secured
I booked the tickets with your thingo.
Yeah.
And then tickets were sorted, everything was sorted.
Tickets were sorted, that was fine. I was to fly on the day from Melbourne to Newey.
Flights were booked like a week in advance.
That was fine. So I rock up to the airport because it was a red-eye flight, 6 a.m. special from Melbourne.
That's how Kenny
I'm used to those now.
That's how Kenny
That's
wants to
because I had to get up there and get on the beers. So I booked the flight. That was fine. Got to the desk, handed over my ticket. Excuse me, Mr. Stokes. There seems to be an issue with your ticket. What? At 6 o'clock, I've had very little fucking coffee and very little nicotine at that time. So it's, what's wrong with the ticket? There was a letter missing from my name. So B-E-N... I.
Let me spell
No, what letter did I miss?
J.
No, I missed the I, wasn't it?
J.
Benjamin.
There was no J.
Yeah, there was no... I'd missed the J because I used my full name, obviously.
Benjamin.
So it wasn't Benjamin, it was Benjamin.
Benjamin Stokes.
And they're like, you need to go to the Jetstar desk and get this sorted out. And I'm like, of course, at 6 o'clock, very little nicotine and very little coffee at that time was, you're telling me you're not letting me on this flight. I nearly threw everything through the fucking window. So I went back to the desk. Mind you, this is a freaking Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So fucking nothing's open.
We're on the beers.
Yeah, nothing's open. So I get there and they're like, oh yeah, we can't refund you, but we can't get you on a flight direct to Newcastle because they're all full. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you're fucking kidding me. Just give me my fucking refund. I don't give a shit. Oh yeah, the refund will take 48 hours. And by then, I'd very little cash. It was basically what I was going to drink with all day. So I ended up I rang a mum. Mum was like, have you left the airport yet? She's like, no. And I'm like, good, stay there. And basically what happened is I ended up taking the drive back home from Tullamarine Airport. Waited till 9 a.m. till I could get into the bank. Mum transferred me money from her bank to my bank. So I still had all my drinking money. She's like, just give me back the refund when you get it. And the best I could do was book a flight from Melbourne to Sydney, and then I had to catch the train up. But the flight I booked was... I booked the flight dead on 9 a.m. and the flight was leaving at 10:30.
Yeah,
so I had an hour and a half to fucking leg it back to Tullamarine. And get through. I reckon I made it with about 10 minutes.
That was classic.
Oh, and then I had to sit with Will on the train all the way up from Sydney. And fuck me, that was... I reckon I think I got there... I got to West's about an hour and a half before the game.
Yeah, about 2 hours before.
So not enough time to get shit-faced, but I got shit-faced while the game was on.
Oh, yeah. The ride home was
I got
bad.
wild shit-faced on the way there.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm sorry. I apologise for anyone who's seen me.
But yeah, that flight to Sydney, Lubo was sitting 3 seats ahead of me.
Good times.
And he was winding up the Victory Faithful.
Anyway, that's the story of Ben's travel. So that's how dedicated.
But I got there.
That's how dedicated, and we got beat.
Doesn't matter. I still got there.
We got beat.
And I stole one of the frigging flags, and it's up on my wall over there.
Oh, the seat, yeah, head of the seats that they're sitting on.
One of the gold flags that they had the little poles in with the. That's the squadron logo, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's now in my possession.
But yeah, other than that, guys,
I've waffled.
Good story, bro.
Well, friggin' Luke's lost his shit on it.
Luke's point.
Yeah.
Luke, it was funny, man.
It was not a fun day.
So funny.
I had phone calls from that many people from Newcastle. It was a fucking joke. I even called Laurie that day.
Oh man, we were so.
I called Laurie. I'm like, is there anything you can do for me?
Well, grand final never happened. Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting day. And I don't think I've laughed so hard. Obviously, guys, you remember. Like he rang me at like 7:30 in the morning, woke me up, and it was like he was abusing
Jeff
me.
Young, good times, Benjamin.
He was literally over the phone, like it was like he was abusing me for the problem. It was my fault.
Fucking spastic.
He was lost his shit. I'm like, huh? What? You're not on the plane?
Lockie, you called me that day too. When I was on the way to the airport.
Oh, there he is, Lockie. Yeah.
When I was on my way back to the airport, Lockie rang me.
Absolutely. Mate, you've missed it all. I don't know if you missed it all, but it was plugging the stuff. Friggin'.
Yeah, no, he was he.
Plugged you away and.
Yeah, see, it was a crack up, lads.
Oh, it was a crack up, man.
He was involved in it.
It was so funny.
He rang me.
The best news I got though was friggin' when he said, "No, don't worry, I've got to fly into Sydney. So I'll just catch the train down." I'm like, "Oh, thank God," because by the time he replied at 9:30. I think I'd had about 4 drinks since. And I was
on my way. I was well on my way to the airport.
I'm like, I ain't going to the airport to pick you up. I'll be well and truly gut by then.
No, I met Will in Sydney.
Yeah, but no, this is what I was saying before you told me you go to Sydney. I
was here. Yeah, he was on the Facebook side.
Very good, mate. But yeah, Absolute classic. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get there next year and Carl takes us up and beyond and friggin' next time we just drive a day before, I think.
No.
Save us the fucking trouble. Stick him on a plane.
No, what I'll do is if we actually make automatic.
Yeah.
If we make automatic.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I had
2 weeks notice.
Yeah, I had 2 weeks notice because we made it automatic.
Mm.
So I had them earlier. It was the Victory people that were scrambling for flights.
Yeah. And then you had to scramble because
And then I had to sit on the same
Pay
fucking
through the
plane as
fucking
them all.
pay through the roof.
Well, no, not really. It actually wasn't too bad.
But yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you for story time. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, we can't thank Branko enough for jumping on and telling us a little bit about, obviously, football in Australia, his thoughts, and obviously his time at the Jets. We will see you guys, obviously, next week. At this point, as I said to Chatty, we're going to do a bit of trivia again. Ben just Googles away.
Oh, I'm just
like we don't matter, guys.
I'm just closing things that don't need to be open.
It's like we don't matter here. What do we got? 10 years.
Next grand final. Next one will be 2028. Mm-hmm. No.
No.
I'll be an old man by then.
No.
I'll be an old man by then.
No. But yeah, as I said, guys, thanks for jumping on. It means a lot. Thanks for joining in. Thanks to Lockie and obviously his father at Gabriel Mar Optometrist for jumping on as major sponsors again. Glasses giveaway. We'll probably let it go for maybe another 2 weeks.
Look what you've done now. Both chats are doing it now.
Yes. Can we change?
Cheers, Josh and Benjamin. Thanks, Ricky.
Guys, Benjamin, every time you come in,
Lucky Ben's checking how to spell Benjamin.
Yes, guys, Benjamin, that's it. Just it's inside joke.
Hi, my name is Josh and Benjamin from Crossbar Capers.
We're leaving it. We're going with it. We're running with it.
Fucking...
Oh, well. But yeah, thanks, Lockie. Be sure to obviously go over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the Facebook page, tag 2 of your mates down in that. Obviously,
tag your broskies. Don't tag us.
Don't tag us. Yeah, tag other people to get in the chance, obviously, to win.
No, do not hashtag Benjamin. Lockie.
Hashtag Benjamin.
Jesus, he's the sponsor.
Be sure to jump over to.
I can't fight with him on it, can I?
Absolutely. He's the man. Be sure, guys, as I said, in all serious time, jump over and check out Benjamin's channel.
It's like the worst setup.
Corner Flag Games, starring Benjamin here. Does some great content, obviously, if you are into your FIFA and so forth. You've got Luke Sports Gaming here as well. Jump over, check out Luke's stuff on Twitch.
On Twitch.
Playing a bit of footy today. He plays a bit of FIFA and so forth as well.
When his internet lets him.
When the internet works. Sorry, Luke. But yeah, as I said, guys, be sure to jump over and check out Ben's stuff. Subscribe to the channel. Like his Facebook page as well. Without him, there is none of this because I'd be just standing here with a blank screen. Easy.
Hey.
But at the end of the day, guys, we do thank you guys. We will catch you guys next week. What do we got? Benjamin at Corner Flag Games. Has a ring to it. Here we go. Ben's just tagging away.
See, look, my URL works.
So does mine.
It does now.
It does mine. YouTube.com/Corner Flag Games. Right
Fucking
there.
Bang.
Bang. Oh. Guys, do you see how quick and simple that was for him to transfer it from the computer to these 2 screens?
I went across 2 screens to get there.
Only if he learned to spell his name quicker than that, he might have been on the 6 a.m. flight instead of the 10 a.m. flight.
That's probably why I got into trouble, because I went so fast when I fucking booked it.
Far out. Anyway. Cheers, Jeff, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Jeff.
As I said, guys, muchly appreciated for everyone who jumped in. We'll do a bit of trivia. Keep Chatty happy. Chatty will be keen. He's keen to watch.
Chatty be keen. Tony's chomping at the bit to come back.
Yeah, look, as I said, we might see if we can find.
Well, yeah, Evo's the carryover champion.
We need Evo back. Carryover champ. Somehow he pulled that out. Anyway, we'll try and tee up some players and whatevers, and we'll get there. We'll sort it out. Thank you guys very much for watching. We're going to wrap it up. As always, what are you doing before we go? I'm just going to let Ben do this. Getting his little cheers, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, because I forgot about it last week.
He did. That's why they invented autocorrect, Benny.
No, I was doing it on my computer, not on my phone. I don't like booking flights on my phone.
Yeah, that's why they also friggin' say to have a girl's look. Did you have a boy's look or a girl's look? Should have looked at the screen a little bit better. But anyway,
That's all right. We've got plenty of stories we can.
we can sit here for like 3
I
hours.
got plenty of stories that we can get you into trouble, mate.
Oh, calm down. There's no need for that.
Adelaide, that building, up on the top floor.
Oh, yeah, the gay bar.
No, not that one.
Oh, wrong story. Okay. Anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Interact, obviously, in the Facebook chat, in the Facebook page as well, guys. Leave shit. I'll try and post stuff in there, any links. Go check out the link that Ben said in regards to
TIFO football.
TFO football, obviously, on YouTube. And we'll catch you guys next week. As always, we hate
Coast Scum.